Black history. As for me, I found out about something very interesting. I am a visual and performing arts major at Grambling State University, and I was taking a theater for Black Americans class, and I happened to learn about a group of sisters who sparked something that we can do today, such as these praise dancers, the theater that I get to perform in, singing itself, classical musicals, things of that nature. I found out that these things were all possible due to the people I will talk about today. Now, back in I'd say the 20th century, late 19th century, the use of blackface in minstrel shows were used by people who were not of African American descent, typically white people, who performed as prejudiced and racist stereotypes of Black people. It originally began when a white man known as Thomas Rice created a character named Jim Crow. It was based on an enslaved man he saw at a southern plantation. This minstrel character would soon be used to define the Negro Code laws of the 20th century, known as the Jim Crow laws, and essentially create negative historic stereotypes that would ridicule Black people that still exist to this day. If you've heard of things such as Mammy, Aunt Jemima, Coon, Pickaninny, Jezebel, and the old uncle, these are all common, including those that was recently changed, like the syrup called Aunt Jemima. Okay. Now you know where it comes from. Yeah. In white minstrel, the Negro was depicted as merely happy children, ecstatic to sit by their white peers. Funny, huh? Originally, white producers of minstrels would not even allow Black people to participate or perform in minstrel shows unless it was something truly humiliating. During this time, some newly freed and enslaved Africans decided to engage in these endeavors, while others found a way around the system through the power of imagination, melody, and a little of creative writing. They were known as the Hire Sisters, Anna and Emma Hire, two astounding classical musicians, and artists. We're looking for ways to create a more positive outlook of how and what Black people actually are, instead of what white audiences perceive them as. Their parents, Samuel B. and Annie, came west to Sacramento after the gold rush. Samuel made sure his daughters received both piano lessons and vocal training. With German professor Hugo and later opera singer Josephine Dorman, they performed for many private parties before making their professional stage debut. On April 12, 1867, at Sacramento's Metropolitan Theater at the mere ages of 9 and 11. By the time they were 14 and 16, a Boston critic wrote, "They are destined to occupy a high position in the musical world." Soon after, Anna, a soprano, and Emma, a contralto, became the first African-American women to succeed nationwide as mainstream touring concert artists with rave reviews everywhere they went. And the reviewers focused on the stellar qualities of their voices and not solely based on their race. In 1872, the Hire Sisters performed at the World Peace Jubilee, a festival held in Boston. It was the first major musical production in the country to feature artists of various backgrounds and colors on the same stage. In the world of opera, the Hire Sisters were indeed building a notable legacy. However, prior to traveling overseas to continue their operatic careers, the sisters felt it was best to stay within the U.S.'s borders, as there was still much work to do to erase the harmful and degrading stereotypes that were displayed in predominantly white minstrel musicals. Therefore, these powerful women decided to start a theater company, and they created the first civil rights musical. Written by Joseph Bradford and Pauline Hopkins, the Higher Sisters produced a show entitled Out of Bondage. It was the first full-fledged musical play where African Americans could dictate how they wanted to be viewed to the public on the plight of slaves and the emancipation without having to use clay, tar, or grease paint. Out of Bondage depicted the story of one slave's family experience in the antebellum South and their struggles to enter into their free lifestyle after the Civil War. After liberation by Union troops, the family separates when 4 younger family members decide to travel north of Georgia with the intent to make a living as musicians. The older family members stayed behind as they felt they may be too elderly to participate in the new day at North. This 1890 production was one of the first musicals to be produced by a Black organization, thus signaling the transitions from minstrel shows to Black musical theater. After Out of Bondage, the sisters went to create several other musicals of representation, including The Underground Railroad, a musical that is based on the path to escaping the wrath of slavery in Mississippi, and a Northern musical entitled Urena, a story containing themes about an African princess, Black love, and romance.
All right.
They even showcased theater's first integrated cast, 30 years before Burt Williams would integrate the 1910 Ziegfeld Follies with their debut of Uncle Tom's Cabin in 1880.
Okay.
I found their story interesting because these brave women told the stories of Black people based on the historic context of Black people and essentially wrote their way to freedom with classical music and storytelling, thus embellishing the common musical theater we know today. If you've ever seen shows such as Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, Wicked, Cats, Phantom of the Opera, and other Broadway shows, thank the Higher Sisters for creating a legacy that would change the American culture for Black and white alike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.